Live from the Drew Estate Cigar Studios in the great state of New Hampshire, the Gurkha Cigar Studios in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, and from beautiful Indian Trail, North Carolina. Welcome to the Spare Notes series with your hosts, Matt Tabacco, Kevin Acuff, and William Cooper.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Spare Notes series. My name is Matt Tabacco from SmokinTobacco.com. I am joined once again by my good friend, Mr. William Cooper of cigar-coop.com. Kevin Acuff is not with us tonight. He has the night off, but we are here. It's Spare Notes. We're finally back. We've it's been a crazy month or so for all of us, ever since the end of the trade show. So we've I know a lot of us have just kind of been on autopilot mode and kind of on a reduced capacity. But I think we're slowly making our way back towards normalcy. There's just been a lot going on all fronts, and Coop, sounds like it's the same for you guys over there too.
Yeah, it's been a busy, more busier than normal. We and I think I was telling you before the show, we got a later start to our PCA recap stuff because there was some people had to deal with some stuff that, frankly, I'll be transparent, were much more important than doing recaps. Okay.
Yeah.
So and they had to take care of that stuff. We just made a decision. We started. So we really didn't start our PCA recap stuff until early April, like a couple weeks after the show, and so we're still in that mode. But there's other things that have just come up outside of I've done some traveling. I've done a few trips actually since then, and we had I think Easter was in there as well. I don't think we did a show. No, we did a show right after Easter, I believe. I think we did one right after Easter. So
yeah.
Yeah. In fact, so yeah, it's good to get back. We talked this morning, and I said, yeah, let's get this in. Let's do it because it's been way too long, for sure.
Yeah. It's good to be back. In being on this show, and I love doing this show, especially because it's such a great platform to get into so many different things that are going on. One thing I'm going to touch on really quickly, while I have it up on the screen, and it's worth mentioning because we haven't talked about it on Spare Notes yet.
We need to talk about this.
But our fourth annual Cigar Family Charitable Foundation raffle fundraiser is now live. We are just about $6,000 raised, with several more weeks to go. And so good start, but long way to go. And I have the link posted in all the comment sections on the live stream right now. And then if you're listening later, it should be in the description below. So just kind of look for that, and it'll take you right to it. Lots of cool prizes from Carlito Fuente, J.C. Newman, La Flor Dominicana, S.T. Dupont, Drew Estate, Hiram and Solomon. Who else? I think Rabbit Air is in there. Sorry if I don't list you. There's a lot. William Cooper. Yes, I'm sorry. See, but this is what I mean. Like you start. I'm one of those people when you start thinking about stuff too hard, like you can't even think of any of it.
Yeah.
William Cooper has donated stuff on behalf of Cigar Coop. Thank you very much, Coop. I appreciate that. And so many more. There's some stuff from Nicole and I are going to put some of our own stuff up there. The folks at Unicorn Smokes who own 2 LFD NFTs as well as 2 Tatawahe NFTs. They graciously donated 1 box of LFD golden NFTs. I think it's number 1. And then 2, I think it's NFT 2 and NFT 6 of the Tatawahe. A box each from those. So there's 3 NFT boxes total that were donated. So you have a chance to win a box of those. So there's some cool shit in there. But again, we're raising money for a great cause. For the kids at the school, which we've both been to. It's amazing. Yep. It's special. They keep building more, which is awesome. And every dollar counts. So don't forget to get your raffle tickets. Check it out. You can win some cool stuff. You have a great cause, a cause that is huge within our industry. And you don't want to miss out on it. I promise you. The first 3 years we've done this, if you haven't been a part of it before, don't miss out on it, really. The link is in the comments. Get your raffle tickets. There it is right there at the top of the screen, but it's in the comments too. You can click it and go. So I think I pinned it too, so it should stay on top. So
Yeah. Everyone, I know people participate for it's a great cause, and it's a great raffle. Matt and Nicole are very selfless with their time to administer this, and as well as all the companies that take time to donate this. It's a great cause. And like I said,
Pete Johnson put in a
is-
mystery pack again, so you get something that's
Yeah.
gonna be hand curated by Pete, and he'll send it to you.
Yep. It's I can't say enough about Cigar Family Charitable Foundation. Like Matt, and we've gone there, right?
Yeah.
And when you go there, this is not about cigars. You don't smoke cigars there or anything. But if you are not moved when you leave, then I don't know. You're as cold as ice. Is all I could say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I agree. You get to meet
yeah.
some of the cool people there. You get to meet people like Emilio, who's got his own great story. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Kid beat cancer. He's one of the
Absolutely.
nicest. He's one of the nicest people you ever meet in your life.
Mhm. Yep.
I forget his name, but one of the students who went through that whole program is now a doctor, and
Yep.
has millions of subscribers online, and he gives medical advice, and he comes back and he takes care of the kids. He takes care of their family. He gives them medical attention. Like, dude, like it's when you go down there and you see where it is, you're like, wow, this is a third world country. Like, wow, this is wow. And then you see what they have there, and you're like, wow, they have all of this. It really is. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, they appreciate it, because if they didn't have the CFCF program, man, it would be bad. So that's why this is so important, and everyone here is involved, appreciates it, and as well as everyone involved down there, Fuente, Newman families, everyone at CFCF, everyone in the Dominican Republic, everyone really appreciates it. So thank you very much to everyone who's been involved, donated in some way, shape, or form. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
But having said that, yeah, so the link is in the comments. You can also find it on smokeatobacco.com. Let's see. Coop, let's talk about what we're smoking tonight and what we're cutting and lighting with.
Yeah. So I'm going for a cigar that's probably one of the best cigars I've had this year. It's the Perdomo 30th Anniversary Maduro Epicure.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree.
Just reviewed it. It's going to be up there as one of the I don't want to use the word contenders, but it's prospects for number one. It's because it's in that 92 range, which will get you into that discussion. So very excited. Of course, I'm using my SG Dupont Biggie lighter.
Got my Biggie as well, all gold.
Yeah.
Look at that, the diamond.
Yeah.
The diamond pattern. Look at the shine on that. That is just sexy.
I got this black. I got that piano black lacquer, which I just really love on this. Yeah, and
These lighters are awesome.
there's not. It's funny, right? We were when you were running the show intro. I said I had no fuel in this thing, so I had to run in and get. I don't keep the fuel here. I had to run upstairs, get the fuel, and fill this quick. So.
Oh, I know that feeling. I've been there.
So yeah.
But I'm smoking the La Giana 30th anniversary.
You have been now. You're picking a. You told me. I'm not going to take your time. You told me a lot about this cigar. Coming out of the trade show.
I have to say, and this is the second year in a row where. Sorry, I need something to I dropped ash all over the table, and I'm trying to find something to scrape it up. This is this. So, and I've said this before. Anyone who knows me, like Coop does, and who's been on the floor with me, I don't really smoke a lot on the floor because as much as it's a cigar trade show and the manufacturers are there smoking, but I think it's easier for them to be smoking. And for me, I'm so focused on what I have to do, and I'm very busy. Same with Nicole and everyone else on the team. I don't really smoke. It's just and doing interviews it just kind of it takes up a hand, and then you're at someone's booth and you're smoking one cigar, and then they bitch oh, you gotta smoke mine, and they're gonna put a cigar down halfway through and smoke theirs. You start theirs, you go to the next booth, it's the same story. I just kind of elect you know what, I'm just not gonna smoke. So if you catch me smoking a cigar, why am I saying this? If you catch me smoking a cigar on the show floor, that means something. And if you see me smoking a cigar on the show floor, I challenge you to come find me and ask me what it is. Because chances are, it's very high on my list. because if I said, fuck it, I'm smoking this, it's because it's that good. Last year was Johnny Tobacconaut. Matt Booth, Room 101, General, all of them now. It's all one group. The JT. It was a special thing that Matt did years ago. He brought it back a few years ago in the Perfecto with Luxury Cigar Club. And then the trade show last year, they announced we're going to bring this, full production in a Robusto and a Toro size. I think they still do the Perfecto one. But the Toro and the Robusto, new sizes, permanent production, whatever. And they had them at the show. That was one of the big things. And they had the samples. And I was like, all right. And I grabbed one and I was like, oh, shit, this is so good. I kept going back, and I know we talk about media and the samples, which I've always been very respectful of. However, I know Matt well enough, and I was like, I'm going to keep going back and grabbing these because they're just so delicious. And they ended up at number 5 on our list, or number 6 on our list last year. So,
yep.
That cigar was it was great. The La Giana 30, I had a point in the show and I said, you know what, I'm going to try to smoke something. And Nicole was smoking one, and I tried a puff of it. And I said, oh, whoa. Okay. And I actually walked over to the booth and I said, Oliver, I never do this. I said, but can I get a La Giana 30th? I know you gave me one the other day, but I don't have it. I really want to smoke it right now because I tasted Nicole's and it was great. And he was like, yeah. And he he scrambled and he was like, I got one. And I was like, thanks. And I lit it up and I went, oof. Wow, this is really good. This is really good. And I smoked that whole thing on the floor. I smoked it all the way down. And I loved it. And I got back to my room. I found a couple more samples I had. I smoked another one. I got home from the trade show, and within a week, I went up to Two Guys Smoke Shop, also the number2guyscigars.com, and I bought a box. And Nicole and I had a box a week after we got back from the trade show. I mean, we were just like, boom. It's a great cigar. La Giana has always been kind of, I think, historically a house brand for Two Guys Smoke Shop. But since the inception of United Cigar, it's now become a brand that has been trying to grow, nationally, which I think they've done a good job with. But the 30th Barber Pole is fantastic. It really is. It's a beautiful looking cigar, great quality tobacco, great construction, a very complex flavor. If you're not a Barber Pole person, please, just please try it. Okay, you just try one. If you don't like it, fine. But please try it. It's a great cigar. It's not too much. They're made by Davidoff. Davidoff makes these cigars, so you can only imagine, the kind of level of quality control.
They're made in Honduras, right? Aren't they made in the Honduras factory?
I think they're made in the Honduras factory, yeah.
Yeah, so it's out of Camacho, which is a very good factory. Has done some very good barber poles, Camacho, over the years. Keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep. So, I mean, it's great. That's my piece on it. So yeah, it's a prospect too, for me.
Yeah, you have been you I know you called me and said, have you smoked this? And I have not, by the way. So it will be on my list to smoke for sure. So definitely I'm gonna check.
And you're
it
not
out.
a barber pole guy either.
No, I most of them. Not that I hate barber poles. Most of them
Right.
don't really satisfy me. Like I run down a barber pole hype, and 9 out of 10 times they let me down.
I mean, I'm not a big barber pole smoker. Not because I stay away from them. I don't know. They don't really cross my path very often.
No.
But when I do smoke them, I mean, because I smoke them so infrequently, I'm kind of. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm kind of in the same boat. It's kind of like 50-50. It's either going to be great or it's not. So, I'd say this one is definitely a winner for me. And
yeah.
I'm trying to remember the last barber pole I had that I was like, all right, this is not bad, was the H. Upman.
That wasn't bad either. I had that coming out of. I actually reviewed that. I actually reviewed that this year. It did well. It didn't do quite prospect level, but it was a recommended buy of a cigar. There's like 3 barber poles that kind of stand out over the last few years with me. The 724 Hustler.
Oh
The
yeah, how can I forget about the 724 Hustler?
Yeah,
Those
the
are fucking
original
phenomenal.
the original CAO Americas. When
Yeah.
they first came out, I couldn't get enough of them.
Hmm.
And this one was a limited, so it wasn't around too long. The original Postani War Bear Toro.
I don't think I
Uh,
had that one.
that's a really good barber pole. But most of these other ones, but that Barbier was better than I thought it was gonna be. I liked that H. Upman Barbier. I was smoking several of them down at Pro Cigar actually.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the 724 because it's not really a new cigar. It's been around. But I would say on my list of barber poles, yeah, that one's
Yeah,
near the top. I mean, that 724 barber pole is fucking lights out.
yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
and their
yeah.
Lanceros, like Kurt's Lanceros in his barber poles. Two things that are, I don't want to use the word untraditional, but they're not popular things.
Yeah.
And he hits them out of the park too. And it's like, damn, they're so good.
Yeah, look, you know me. That Lancero is good in a barber pole. I had, no, that's not a barber pole. Never mind.
What were you gonna say?
Thinking of something else. I was gonna say the wasabi, but that's a Candela. That's not a barber pole. So
Yes,
but
that's Candela.
yeah, it's Candela. So yeah, but no, I agree that those are pretty good. Those are pretty good ones. Those hustlers. So I remember when they hit this. They're out about 10 years already. When he brought those back, they're great. Just a great line. Yeah.
Yeah, the Hustler has been a favorite, and I don't see. It's sad. Like I don't see or hear more people talking about those cigars, and it's a shame because I think that they're great. It's a great brand. It's a lot of history. Kurt's a great guy.
He struggled. Yeah, with not. I don't think the cigars struggle. I think it's a case where he just can't be everywhere.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think that's all it is. I think it's all it is. He's got the pro. No, I'm not. Look, I'll be honest. I'll be very transparent. I was not happy with the reblend of the original 724, but there's still a lot of other good things in there.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll give him a free plug because I love Kurt a lot, and if you haven't tried any of the 724 stuff, please do. Please check them out. The Lanceros and the barber poles especially, they're great. And I'll tell you, there's the WK line too, and I heard Kurt say this one time, and I've never forgotten it. Start your day with a WK.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my love for Kurt. I know, right? I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're smoking. Shout out to SD Dupont. Shake up the legacy. They're always with us, cutting and lighting. We rely on them. Nothing but the best. You've heard about the charity and everything else. So we'll talk a little bit about what's been going on in the industry since the trade show. Mostly, it's been for the most part on a big front, kind of quiet. Most of it's been the aftermath. Excuse me. The aftermath of the PCA show. A lot of people starting to ship stuff out to retailers over the last 6 to 8 weeks, and which was to be expected. And it's the busier season for most parts of the country is starting to ramp up. So it's good to see that they're getting new stuff in right at the beginning of the season versus the end of the year or the end of the season.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, there's been a couple of things, and I know we'll talk about it. I think the first thing I just kind of want to get into is our friends at the PCA had some news recently. Scott Pierce is no longer the executive director of the Premium Cigar Association, which I'll be honest, I'm a little indifferent about. I'm happy for Scott, but I'm also like, damn. He was great there. He has moved on to the Cigar Association of America in a role that, Coop, please remind me, what is his role over there?
He's the president of the Cigar Association of America.
He's now the president. Okay.
Yeah, now, if the Cigar Hustler guys are listening to me, it is not Cigar Rights of America. Okay? It is Cigar Association of America. They're not representing cigar rights. They represent the manufacturers and the distributors of the industry is what they do. So they tend to represent larger companies, medium to large companies is what they do. So, again, Hustler guys, they're not the Cigar Rights of America. They needed a little fact check on that.
Well, here you go, Mike. And Mike, you guys heard it here.
I love that. Yeah. There's a lot we can break down with this, Matt.
There is.
Yeah. I'll dispel something right out of the gate, okay? I heard the conspiracy theory that Scott wasn't at PCA and that's why he wasn't, right? I can tell you that's not why he was at PCA. He had something personally, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. But I can tell you that that's not the reason why he was absent at PCA this year. He had something really come outside. Sometimes things happen outside of what you do that he had to take care of, and he did the right thing. So that I'll dispel that right out of the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, he had something come up, and it's unfortunate because it would have been his last PCA.
That's kind of what. Yeah, I know.
Sad.
But he'll be at PCA. I mean, I could see him floating around PCA next year. It'll be interesting to see him there. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, does anyone else from the CAA show up at the trade show? Normally,
I can't answer that because, I've been trying. This is one thing that I'm happy about. This is, I think Scott's going to build a relationship with the CAA and the media, which previous regimes have been not really willing to do.
It's been very non-existent,
Well, I've tried. I've been banging on doors, and I'll tell you something. I got the press release from both PCA and CAA that says anything. It was the first press release I ever got from the CAA. So I did get the word. I had sources tell me when the old president was parted ways, David Osgo. So I had someone tell me that. But when I asked for press confirmation, I didn't get anything on it. But
Right.
this time I did get. So to me, it's positive because of like I said, it helps us out with the CAA. It's going to leave a lot of questions on what happens next. Here's the thing, Matt. I'll just kind of dispel this right out of the gate. Another thing. Scott was not irreplaceable. Okay? Every job is replaceable. I've said this. You can replace. This one may be a little tougher to replace, is what I'm going to say. But he's not irreplaceable. And he has a good
fair.
staff on it. Yeah. But that's going to be the big question. How do they replace him? Yeah.
Yeah, that's very fair. I mean, look, he is. Everyone's replaceable. I think you said it right. He might be a little harder to replace. I think Scott was one of the best people involved at the PCA in a long time.
Right.
I think a lot of great things happened under his tenure. I know. So Josh Habersky, I know. So he's kind of filling in the role, but he's not the permanent takeover person, from what I understand. They're going to actually find someone to fill that role.
Right. I think what they've done right out of the gate is they've named an interim director. And that's Josh, who was the number 2 guy there to begin with.
Yep.
Which is different than in the past. Because when Joe Rowe and Bill Spahn and Mark Purcell, who were previous leaders of the IPCPR, left, there was this search that happened. This search usually takes a year. And the thing is, it was run by the board. So it's kind of like, I used to say, every time they got rid of a CEO, they used to call him CEO as well, or executive director. It was kind of like the IPCPR would go Bud Selig. Like when they fired the commissioner, Bud Selig took over. They would kind of go Bud Selig for a while. But the difference is that Josh got that deputy role, I think, with this in mind. I don't want to say they were grooming him, but I'm sure that he was put in there with the idea that they'll have someone who could step into this role, and whether or not they want him as the permanent executive director, that's up to the board because he works for the board.
Right. I agree. Yeah, he will be missed from the PCA.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that whoever does permanently replace him, has a lot of the same values that he's had and kind of the outlook that Scott's had, and just a lot of the things that he believed in and things he did that I think we all agreed on were great for everybody involved. Maybe we didn't always love every little detail, but we always knew we understood why, and we saw positive changes still come from it. It was weird to see that, like, damn, like losing Scott from the PCA. But the show will go on. It always does. So, I wish him nothing but the best. Obviously, I love Scott. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Oh, we do too.
But like you said, I'm also excited, kind of like for that double-edged sword of like, well, let's see what this gets us with the CAA.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Look, like you said, it was Scott's record perfect? No. I mean, there are things I can pick on even with this year's trade show, like but and previous trade shows. But here's what I will say: if you look at IPCPR, PCA, whatever you want to call it, go back to 2018 when he first started the job. And now look at when he's departing the job this month. It's official at the end of this month. Is this organization a better organization and in a better place than when he got there? And to me, that's an easy question. It's an absolute resounding yes. If you're saying
100%.
no, it's in worse shape, you got no. This board, it was a mess when he came in. It got worse for a couple of years. CigarCon was an absolute disaster. And then pandemic. Then what happens after the pandemic? They furlough the organization. The show is canceled. People don't know what the future. People are talking about, will there ever be another trade show? That's what this was. Remember when you started, Matt? Remember those were the questions being asked. Would there ever be another trade show? Would this organization even exist?
I know.
And he brought this organization back from near death. I mean, this organization was close to dying. They had financial issues in that organization. This guy has done an incredible job. Now we could get into maybe why he did this, and that's a little speculative, I get. But I don't think there's a lot of reasons for that. But you can't say enough about the job this man did. Like I said, you said it, Matt. You wish him nothing but the best. I'm so glad he's staying in the industry as opposed to leaving the industry.
Me too. I'm happy he'll still be around.
I would never take a organization's job in an association.
I was just gonna say. So we got Luke Cali who says, "I vote for Coop."
There was someone who wanted me on the board a few years ago. I said, absolutely not. It is a thankless job, and there are people much better at it than me.
Has anyone from the media ever been on the board of any of those organizations or any kind of position?
No, but I think it would be a conflict of interest to cover them objectively, though.
I was gonna say, I feel like that could never work.
Yeah. I mean, unless I went now, in this case, I wouldn't be working for the board. I'd be an employee, right? Mm-hmm. But how can I cover PCA objectively as an employee? I'd really have to give up a lot of what I do because
you could never talk shit about them if you had to.
I can't. I mean, look,
the hands are tied.
My hands are tied. Even the Antoine job, right? For example, right? If I went into that job, everything changes what I do. I cannot go be an employee of an organization and then publicly criticize them. It's just that's not good form. So, I'd have to everything would have to change in my life for that. So I don't see that happening. Okay, I vote for Josh. I say give Josh a shot at this job. Let's see what Josh can do. And I would just strip him of the interim title, give him the permanent job. And see what he could do over the next. You gotta give him more than a year, right? See what he could do. I think he may not have the trade show experience piece, right? But he's got people under him that do have the trade shows piece experience and can really work through that. I don't think Scott Pierce was the guy planning out the opening party. Okay, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm not. Again, I was critical of the opening party, but that's not to be critical of the opening party. It's just if the opening party was great, I wouldn't give Scott credit for an opening party being great either. So.
Oh, you mean like the nacho bar, the nacho station?
Yeah, there's an article coming out on Coop about this on Monday.
About the nacho station?
It's mentioned in the article. It's the full PCA recap, and I have a lot I said about that. So because you have and I'm gonna say you have people. This is one of the most creative industries that you could see. You have people that know how to put on parties. If you listen to the Eric Espinoza interview on Thursday night on Coop, Eric was very critical of the PCA party this year, and very critical that and he had ideas to make this an experiential party, not just like nachos and drinks and a couple of cigars. There were ideas he had, and he wasn't even given a chance to come back on that, right? So, he didn't understand the reasons why. Now that doesn't shed Scott's resume. He's done a great job. Again, I'm not trying to. But yeah. So I have more I'm saying about the nachos on my article.
I can't wait to read all about that. That's gonna be interesting.
It's not 6,000 words. It's like under 3,000. Yes.
Oh, that's good.
It's the final serenade on PCA coverage. It will be kind of so. But yeah. So I mean, I know I kind of digressed a lot on that, but so I would give it to Josh. I think you'll get stability with this. I think he's been in enough of the board meetings where he can do this. And let's see what he could do, because you're going to roll the dice bringing an unknown in. You're going to totally roll the dice bringing an unknown in. You want to do that? You've seen what happened when they brought Bill Spahn and Mark Purcell in. What kind of results we got?
Yeah, it's funny. The organization went from being like almost just out completely to it. I think the best feedback from the trade show was this past show. Everyone, people I know who were like, "Fuck this show, it's over. Fuck them. I'm not spending that money. Blah 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 blah. This show sucks.
Yeah.
No one comes."
Right.
And I saw those same people the last 2 years, and they were like, "This is a really good show." I'm like, "Oh yeah," and people were happy. So. You're right. It's been turned around. They've come a long way. They had some good growth. Now let's just keep it that way. Let's not lose the progress and the momentum that they have made.
It's been exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, the show. I mean, look, day one, the attendance wasn't a huge upgrade this year, but it was kind of how it was skewed. A lot of people came. That day one was an electric feeling on the floor. And I know, Matt, you weren't in a lot of the convention day stuff, right? 300 people there. That was the best. Everything before the party was the best thing that they ever put on. This show, people used to avoid that convention day, and they'd be sitting at the bar. And now people were coming in to see the presentations, and it was a great feeling. Scott has restored pride in the trade show again. Again, not perfect. We had our issues with the media this year, access. We had, like the opening part, not perfect. But man, honestly, what you brought this thing back. He brought this thing back from almost death. This was close to death in 2020. Of course, CAA was going to be interested in him.
Oh yeah, I mean he's an all-star, dude. I mean, I'm not surprised either. What I'm hoping is that he goes to the CAA and he does some great stuff too. And honestly, it'd be great if he went to the CRA and turn that fucking show around.
Well, I think they are turning around. I think Copperman's doing a good job, Matt. And I spent some time with Copperman in Tampa as well.
Okay.
He's had a lot. I think things are getting fixed over there. This is not the organization it was 2 years ago.
Oh,
when the whole meme stuff. They're getting there. Okay, they're definitely getting there. So, but he had a lot to fix. So that was wireless for so long. So. I think Copperman can get it done. I've interviewed him already once. I'd encourage you guys to interview him. Oh, by the way, Scott Pierce never, ever turned down a media request. And I'll tell you something. There were a couple times he was probably annoyed at me and took a media interview. So, and I think we had a good relationship. Don't get me wrong. Of course, there's things I'm going to say sometimes that he doesn't like. Okay, he had never turned down a media request from us, or anyone that I know in the media that he's done with that. So he has been responsive, and look, Josh is very responsive too. And if you think that's one of the reasons certainly why I'm endorsing him. Don't get me wrong. Where I couldn't get a phone call back from Bill Spahn's organization or Mark Purcell's. So.
Yeah, on the media front too, I think they've come a long way.
They have, and I think the board's helped out with that too. I think the board's helped out a lot with that too, though.
I think so.
So I think you got to give And by the way, that's another thing. I think he made organizational. Again, the decisions are made by the board. It's not Scott dictating all this, right? But it was again under his leadership and execution that they expanded the board. I had my doubts on that. I think this board has acted efficiently. The only thing that I think was a mess was CigarCon. And if Scott had a little bit of the history of why this was such a train wreck, I don't think he would have. The problem is when he tried to do CigarCon and people had tried to do it, he didn't know how badly it failed in the past. So that was it was a learning experience for him. I think he learned a lot from that. So, but that's the only thing I could put on his and the 2019 trade show was a disaster. But otherwise, but it was mostly because of CigarCon why it was.
Yeah, I mean the CigarCon thing. I remember when that first came up, and that was like people were losing their minds over that whole thing. It was interesting to watch, to say the least. You know, I don't want to like get into that whole topic tonight.
No, we beat that to death. So it's 5 years almost already.
But yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
In so many different ways. But yeah, no, I mean, so that's what's going on with PCA and Scott Pierce. We wish him the best and excited to see what comes in the next chapter for both groups.
Yep.
Also talking about staff departures.
Yeah.
You already know what this is.
Yeah.
So Dylan Austin, president of Davidoff, is no more. He is no longer with Davidoff. It has been confirmed.
Yep.
At Coop, we've talked. It has been confirmed. I've had it confirmed from Davidoff. You've had it confirmed from Davidoff. He is no longer with the company, although they're being pretty tight-lipped on it. Our sources that we have, employees of Davidoff have said he's not with us. I can't say a single other word about it, though. And I said, okay, I respect that, but we've at least gotten that. Why he was let go, don't know. I will say...
Was he let go, or it hasn't even been when he left? That's not even been said, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But whatever it is, the reason for his departure, what I meant to say, we don't know. We don't know anything really about it, other than he's no longer there. One thing I will point out, which I think is fair, in my perspective, the last couple of years, he hasn't been very. I haven't really observed him actively. I don't know why. I've been building a good relationship with Davidoff, and I've never dealt with him directly, but I just never really. I felt like I never really saw him at a lot of stuff. It's been kind of a lot of other people that I know very well. And I wonder if maybe he's had some personal stuff going on. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, kind of a big one. I mean, Davidoff, a big company, and people know Dylan. He's been around a long time. So kind of big news. But not really much else as to what's going on with that. So
I know Dylan a long time. I know him back in Camacho.
Yeah.
And he came over with the Camacho. He was a graphic artist, I think he started out as, right? But he came over with Camacho, and then really the big thing that kind of put his name on the map was the rebranding of Camacho, which was, at the time, an enormous success. It might have been a double-edged sword in the end, right? Why he's not in the role. But he did that rebranding, and from that, they promoted him they moved him into the sales organization. And when you start moving someone around from marketing to sales, that's kind of a sign they're grooming you for something. And in 2019, he was named president of the Americas. So he's the top guy. But really in that role, Matt, and I don't know, like I said, I'm not reading more into it other than not really meant to be the face of the company. Davidoff has other people that, are faces. You used to go back to the Scott Colaceras at Avo, and, the Eddie Guerras right now.
Eddie.
Where they're more of the faces of the, consumer retail engaging type of thing. So Dylan is not a guy, but Dylan was a guy, I could tell you, he was very present at trade shows. I remember his first trade show was the 2019 one, and he all but told me they weren't coming back next year to the trade show without saying it. He was unhappy at that trade show.
Right.
He also was Davidoff's the one company that didn't go back to the trade show. Dylan also dealt a lot with Europe too, so this is still a company run out of Europe. So Dylan's kind of the steward of things in the Americas. But again, was he let go? Here's what they said. This is when I asked their media contract in Europe for a statement. Odinger Davidoff confirms there have been some management changes at Davidoff America, Davidoff of Geneva, USA, and that Dylan Austin, president of Davidoff of Geneva Americas, is no longer employed by Davidoff USA. And then they thank him, blah, blah, blah. And then they said that Zach Medwin, who's the commercial director, and Lana Frazier, head of marketing, is going to be interim responsibilities. So there's a few things you agree. When you say someone's no longer employed, and you don't see I don't know, it's kind of clear that there was some sort of a decision made with that, is what I would say. But, they're not going to come out and say that. And again, no one gets fired in the cigar industry. You got to keep that in mind, right? It does. And we've seen also when you announce someone gets fired, what happens, too. It could have bad effects. So I kind of get that. And the fact that there wasn't, like, if he had left, I think the succession plan would maybe be a little quicker. I think you're going to see by the way, I think there's going to be big changes to Davidoff and the U.S. organization after this. I just from how I'm reading this right now.
I think so, too. I mean, I'm in pretty good contact with Davidoff, and so I ask questions. I don't always get a very definitive answer. The problem with Davidoff is that all of the major decisions are made in Switzerland. So you have Davidoff, Odinger Davidoff. You have Davidoff of Geneva, U.S., which is everything here. All of it,
yep.
Everything we have here, Davidoff, it's like its own entity under a bigger umbrella. So like the Davidoff of the United States kind of it all encompasses everything that's here, the stores, the cigars, everything, right? Kind of runs on its own. However, it is still controlled by Odinger Davidoff in Switzerland. And Switzerland is the one that makes all the big decisions. They're the ones that make all the statements. So unfortunately, a lot of the times something happens, with a regular brand, I go to whoever and they're like, yeah, this is what's going on. Because they can. Everyone who's employed by Davidoff here, even the higher ranking people, can't always really provide too much because it has to go through Switzerland.
It has to go through Switzerland, right. You're
we don't always
right on.
Yeah, and we don't always get all the information or a clear answer from Switzerland. So that's what makes Davidoff in particular as a company, not even just on this issue, but like a lot of different things. Like I've asked about, hey, like what about it? Like, for example, when the lawsuit was first announced with Gurkha and Davidoff, I was told the littlest information possible, and it was because I was told by people, we cannot talk about it. This is a Switzerland thing. Like they can talk about it.
Anything like that, yeah. This is illegal. Your legal department has to clear all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're a big company.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
This is not like Crown Heads or even like J.C. Newman. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like they're not small. Then they've been around over 100 years.
Yeah.
But they just don't operate the way
Odinger
Davidoff operates or Scandinavian Tobacco operates. Those are massive companies, with teams of lawyers and legal counsel. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And before people say, well, why isn't Dylan talking, right? And I had this conversation with a media person at the compound this year. Not someone on the Coop or DP teams, by the way. Another media brand. And they were wanting to know the whole inside story of why Nick Malillo left the Tabacco factory. And my answer is when there's termination agreements, that's why there's termination agreements. There are things, and there are sometimes things that you just cannot and you are not allowed to. I've been in a termination agreement. I can tell you that. My job's not something media facing, but there are things that you have to agree to in that. And I'm sure that however that separation agreement worked, if there was a separation agreement, by the way, again, we're assuming there was, but we don't know that with that. Your job's to keep quiet. I mean, your job is not, everything is not public record. I get that small boutique companies work a little differently and they love to talk and they can't keep their mouths shut, right? But when you get into a much more of a corporate structure, it's different. And I've been doing corporate America for 35 years, and I can tell you that's how it works. And that's how it is. So Dylan's not going to talk, of course, and probably never will. And maybe he'll be back in the industry, but I'm just saying he won't talk about that.
It's something that happens all the time, so to speak.
It's like Carney says, part of doing business.
It's part of doing business, and
same with the Scott Pierce. It's people move jobs. That's part of doing business. It's not out there to get on a Patreon page podcast or something like that. It's not.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it's the announcement of it is still notable and noteworthy. So I wanted to make sure that we brought it up, and it'll be interesting to see where what comes out of it.
Yeah, like I said, my feeling is I think they're going to reorganize the Americas. I think that I think you can look at some of the performance of Davidoff. I'm not saying Davidoff was doing horrendous, right?
Sure.
But
I am here, by the way. I have to fix something.
Okay. If you go back to a decade ago, under the leadership of HK, Hans Christian Gohsgaard, and Jim Young, Davidoff was on fire. They had innovation. Their sales were growing. Camacho would get 3 brands, it explodes. Avo goes through a little bit of a renaissance. They couldn't keep up that level. That you couldn't keep going up at that level. So in fairness to Dylan, I'm sure he came in at a point where Davidoff went into more of a cost savings mode, and that's always a difficult thing to do as a leader. Where I'm sure he had much more. His hands were much more tied than maybe when Jim Young ran the Americas with that. So, those are just the types of things that happen. But I think maybe when things slow down, they want to get that momentum built back up again. So certainly the way you do that is reorganization, which is, again, part of business. That's not a negative thing. It's part of doing business there. And Matt is coming back.
Yeah, sorry. I was tweaking the temperature in here. The remote doesn't quite reach. I mean, it's weird. I feel like a bunch of staff changes right after the trade show. And
there always is, though. We used to always have jokes about how many staff changes there were, and it happened. It's part of. Usually, we see a lot of the quote-unquote national sales managers start floating around. I haven't really seen a lot of those move yet.
Have we talked about on this show? I think we brought it up as a news topic on the regular Wednesday night show, but I don't think we talked about on this show. McAuliffe and All Saints separating.
We have not talked about that. I was actually going to see if you wanted to hit that just
Actually,
now.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was something we heard, I want to say, less than a year ago. And they've already kind of ended that, which is interesting. So,
yeah.
So, I mean, that's not really a staffing thing per se, but it's another one of those things that post trade show, we're kind of all done with that. So that has ended. The joint sales team of All Saints and McAuliffe Cigars that I'm pretty sure was being led by Mickey Pegg.
Right.
Is no more. Yes.
It is no more.
My assumption being that probably just didn't work out, or, I mean, they're not doing it anymore.
I mean, obviously they're not doing it anymore, so they feel they could do better separate. I mean, everyone said all the right things here, okay? So, hey, we did it. We're better than what we were before. It worked out great, but we're moving on, right? You look at that, and I'm like, okay, you try to look at the glass half full with this, right? But clearly, you felt that the strategy going forward was not to stay together anymore. I mean, so that's one thing that was clear. A lot of people were saying, the track record of these things. Remember when this happened? We said the track record was small. I mean, the only model I could think of a joint sales team. I mean, it's distribution agreements, but this was a joint sales team. It's really It's really Fuente and Newman, and that's something that goes back, 30, 40 years. So it's a little different.
That's true. The Fuente Newman thing, I think, is very unique, very special.
They kind of grew up in Tampa together, right? Yep. So they kind of grew up in Tampa, so they know the families knew each other. Mickey is getting to know the whole McAuliffe organization and vice versa. And they don't have, like I said, they're from different parts of the country. They have, they had different philosophies, is what I'm going to say. I think both felt some of the differences they had could be moved forward. And that's why and when I interviewed them, some of those differences came out, and they were honest about it, saying, we differ on, some of the stuff like online, for example. They didn't have the same view necessarily on it, but they felt they could work through that. But obviously, they felt they could, obviously, so they made the decision to part ways. And I spoke to both of them, and I wish them both the best and thank them for the support. And look, I still cover both of those companies like I will the same. I had to be very fair about it. And I don't know who said what or what. It's who. I'm not sure who initiated what or anything other than both said, hey, they decided not to move forward.
Yeah, I agree. It's very well said. I mean, these things happen. You try, and if it doesn't work or doesn't make sense, a business is still a business. They were still operating separately, and you have to do what's right for your individual business. And if they have to separate and part ways, so be it. I get it. I mean, I don't think it's like this big thing like, oh, like, what? No. I mean, sometimes you try to do things together and it didn't work, and that's okay. It's part of the journey, and I'm sure they'll go back. They'll try something. They'll each try something different, and both companies have been on a good trajectory. I don't know why I struggled to get that one out. The last couple of years, introducing new stuff, kind of changing some things around. Been getting some more recognition. It's been great. I think they can still both do that, independently.
But I will say one thing. I'm gonna be very honest here.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I went into the Crown Heads Ace Prime booth, which Luciano Cigars, and I detected something wasn't right. And our team detected the same thing this time. We felt like we didn't know if they were having a bad day or whatever. I'm just saying we did. I mean, we all came out of the booth. The guys were talking about that piece too. Like, yeah, something just seemed off with both companies, yada yada yada. So, I'll just say that it was. Did anyone see this coming? No, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Now you look back on it, and some of the discussion, they said, yeah, just people didn't seem on the same page that day. It didn't seem like it was a seamless. Seamless there is what it's kind of put at. And it's just you pick body language up and things like that. I know some people hate I use the word body language, but body language is huge. Body language in the media, you got to read body language.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of noticed it too myself. I noticed some strange vibes when I walked into those booths, but at the same time I had a team of 5 people at the show, and while it was a good show, we had a lot of moving pieces going on. So I also was in a headspace where I wasn't really focusing too much on stuff, but I did notice
my
it.
Issues, I had my issues at home too. Yeah, so yeah, there was something going on with home, but yeah, so it wasn't. I didn't think much more of it. But I think I noted it to you, Matt. I think when we talked, I said, Matt,
we did.
I felt
We talked about it.
I said something was off at that booth. I mean, it was clear. I don't know if it was a bad. Again, sometimes I've seen this happen, and it's a bad day, kind of deal. So
and that happens. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of good people have bad days at the show. We've had bad days at the show. You've had bad days at the show.
We've all had it. Yeah. So you don't want to but I.
Carney's had bad days at the show. I mean, we've all been through it.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. I think from what I hear, Dan is going to be running the sales team for now. So I think they're not going to hire a replacement for Mickey.
And they lost Andy, who went to Crown Heads, who was their national sales manager.
Yeah, Andy left for Crown Heads. They need. I love Andy, right? But I think they felt they needed a more senior leader at the time.
Yeah,
which does happen. Again, that does happen in organizations. But I think there were. Again, everyone was saying the right things about Andy. By the way, I've been in sales organizations where they do bring in a more senior leader, and it works out for the guy who's a less senior leader, and he kind of grows with that. Andy maybe felt this wasn't the best move for him, and he ended up switching, leaving.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I wish Andy, nothing but the best too. I saw him at the show. He was with Crown Heads, and he seemed really happy and really excited. So good for him, man. Crown Heads is a cool company. As you know, I've been a fan of them for a while now, and
yeah, they're good. Yeah, they've done a great. I think the Oz stuff has been really good too. I think that's a good partnership they got going.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that's most of the staffing / I don't know, company team stuff that is going on. So yeah, there's been some changes around. Those are probably the 3 most notable, I would say.
I would probably put that as the 3 most notables. two of them you can probably say trade show aftermath. But for the most part, yeah.
Um,
There were some
the
changes at Pro Cigar too. That was the other thing.
well, I was going to touch on that because that's kind of a separate issue in my opinion.
Right.
Well, not issue, but like thing. But
Yeah.
the leadership has changed at Pro Cigar. So Heinke Kellner is going to be passing the torch to Lito Gomez as president of Pro Cigar. And I believe, if I remember correctly, Chiro of Arturo Fuente is going to be the vice president.
Yeah. Wasn't a total surprise either. I think Henke, he's gonna still be an officer aficionado thing, which means he'll still be involved to some extent.
Right.
So it wasn't a total surprise. And I didn't know that Lito was the guy maybe looking to get into that role. That part I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, I didn't think it would be Fuente person. But by the way, Tiro's ascension to the VP role says a lot because Fuente I think was out of Pro Cigar for a little while, and they kind of came back in a few years ago. So that says a lot there.
Yeah. I know that the last couple of years, I've talked to people such as yourself at Carney and other people who've been really heavily involved in Pro Cigar, and I know that some of the most talked about manufacturer experiences at Pro Cigar have been Arturo Fuente, La Flor Dominicana, Casada. Those are the ones I hear about the most. Happening at Pro Cigar. So I'm kind of not surprised because I know that the involvement and the relationship is so strong with some of those names that it's kind of like, it makes a lot of sense to me. So
I think Manolo ran it for a while too before that.
I think I heard that as well.
I think he ran. So he had done it already. By the way, Lito's going to be a fantastic leader for this organization. So again, it's still a no-brainer. The other name I think that maybe they would have looked at maybe is Nurka Reyes, who is the woman that runs De Los Reyes Cigars.
Yes.
Which is
because they're also a big part of Pro Cigar, right?
They're a big part of Pro Cigar, and she's a really good leader.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see her, doing that. But I think, when you look, Ernesto would be the other one maybe that I could have seen. But I think Ernesto's got so much on his plate right now. I don't think that would be a good move for him to do that personally. Not that Lito doesn't, but Ernesto's, he's involved with a lot of projects, so he's everywhere. So, I'm happy for Lito. I think he's gonna be a great leader. I always say this about Lito. When they're doing the farm tours, the factory and farm tours, Lito's outside the Gran Almonte helping people get to the right buses and everything. He's out there, very hands-on. I mean, he's just working with everybody else out there.
Sure.
And it's a really cool thing to see that. And then he rides in his own car, and I got to ride in his car, which was fun. But no, I'm just saying Lito absolutely is very committed. You see his commitment to that organization. I've talked to you about the factory visit. I'm sure Carney has. It's Abe was asking me this morning, well, why go to Pro Cigar? I said, Abe, it's not just a factory and farm tour. It's experiential, and that's why. And Lito does it really well. The experiential thing is second to none. What he does. I couldn't go on it this year because I felt like I went 2 years in a row with LaFleur. I'd have all these other factories yelling at me why I won't go. I had to tell Carney that. He understood. I'm like, believe me, I'd go every year if I could. If you guys want to work it out every year, I'll go. I just say I can't, unfortunately. Because, again, I have to do the right thing by Pro Cigar. So,
yeah, you got to cover. I mean, how many manufacturers are part of the festival? With you go visit their factory and all that. How many are on the list?
It is I think 12. I have the list, and it's 12, and then there's 12 what I call principals, right? And they're and then there's smaller companies that are kind of like associate members.
Okay.
But there's 12 companies that make up the board of Pro Cigar, and
all the main people who are
all the main people.
Involved.
I'm actually gonna pull the list up here so you guys could hear the names of who's involved, and it goes by factory. It doesn't go.
by
It goes by.
manufacturer or
It
brand.
doesn't go by manufacturer, right? So, it is the newest one was Arnold Andre, who you may have heard through United Distributes, and they have a
Yes.
factory there.
Yes.
De Los Reyes Cigars is another.
Yep.
General Cigar Dominicana,
Yeah.
La Aurora, La Flor Dominicana,
Mm-hmm.
Ottega Davidoff, PDR Cigars, Casada Cigars, Fuente, Tabacco de Garcia, which is Altadis, Casa Carrillo, which is Ernesto, and Tabacco de Palma, which is Hochi, who, you had David Swinburne who uses that factory out there. So yeah, those are the ones that make it up. But then there's like other ones, like some of the smaller factories, they're kind of like associate members in there. But those are the ones who are the board members, and they're the ones, there's 12 of them, I know. So those are the board members.
Yeah, and I would think that it's still growing too. I mean, like there's more that can continue to join, right?
Right. There's a couple of factories I think they're starting to go on the rise there, and then maybe, I remember when PDR came in.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when, for example, there was who left was Royal Agio had to leave because they sold.
Right.
So they had to give up that spot, and I think Arnold Andre actually was the one who took that spot there. So, trying to think if is there a big name out there. I know Hostos Casada, who's Tabacco La Isla, is like an
What
associate
about El
member.
Artista?
El Artista is the one I keep thinking it would be next. That's exactly. I could see that one being next. So I don't know if they want to. I don't know if they're being considered, but they're the one I would just say is the missing one right now.
I mean, they've been very active. They've been doing a lot of
Yeah.
things. They've been really growing the last several years. They've done
Another
some
great
interesting
company.
stuff. They've been making a lot of
Yeah.
cigars for other people, a lot of stuff for their own, portfolio, and they're great people. They've made some good stuff. I would not be surprised to see them involved.
Yeah. Yeah, but a good example, like people may ask, well, what about Herklots? Well, I don't know. Like, I think there's a way Mike can get in. Mike may be an associate or something member. I don't know if Ferriotego could be there because they don't have a manufacturing presence. That's the part I don't know. Mike seemed to hint that it could happen.
Casada.
It would, but Casada's got Tabadex there. But Herklots makes some of his stuff in Nicaragua too.
I know.
So it would have to,
Yeah.
I mean, but Herklots is so involved, and he's an integral part of the. And we've talked a lot about it. The integral part of the festival. But that would be another name. But he doesn't have a manufacturing piece. But I don't think that necessarily excludes him. But I don't. That part was a little fuzzy on that one. But so those are two names: Artista and Herklots. I think would be. And Herklots was with Davidoff too. Now, don't forget.
Yeah. Yeah, so multiple. I mean, there's multiple connections there.
Like I can see down the road, Klaus Kellner, maybe becoming a member. His factory grows, and he's just in the infancy right now.
Especially where his family's already been so involved.
Yeah. His family is involved a lot with the Reyes farms though, because they're joined together, those families,
right?
Kind of through marriage. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Pro Cigar, that's an interesting one. Watching that continue to grow, some things have been changed. We've kind of talked a little bit about Pro Cigar. You were just there. And I know you talked about your experience. So I won't really spend too much time on that topic. But
yeah, there's a previous show where you can look at that.
Yeah, so I mean, still, there's been some interesting stuff that's happened recently with them, and which is great. Great stuff. So happy to see that. So yeah, that's another kind of positional thing for news. It's mostly what's been really going on outside of just product shipping. I don't think there's really been anything other groundbreaking.
No, it's like I said, we're gonna be I think you're starting to see a few projects start to General and more Ford's actually has been releasing some stuff now. So they're kind of doing that. I think EPC's got some more, but most of the EPC stuff was shown off already at the show. Pete's got a lot of stuff this year.
A lot of stuff.
Pete stuff's gonna be Pete. I think Pete had the most new releases this year when I looked at things.
Yeah, he had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but he was very clear. Some of it was some of it's limited and some of it's throughout the year. But he's always the last report we do, and this year it was a lot of work. So.
Oh, I bet. I
Yeah.
bet he was very busy at the show this year.
Very busy show. Yep.
Let's talk about just I'm trying to watch the time because Coop and I are trying to stay into a very tight schedule tonight.
Yeah. I have to get to sleep early. Well, not get to, I have to do stuff and be up early. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
I may have to just stay up. Yeah.
Coop's got a long night ahead. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, you recently got back from Tampa. Now Nicole and I was supposed to be on this trip. Unfortunately, we had to cancel because we've had a bunch of stuff going on up here, and we just couldn't get away. So, but we were supposed to be there at this party. Really disappointed that we could not go. But you went down for Carlito's 70th birthday party, which, from what I saw, was quite the experience. And Kid Rock was there, which was wow. I know you're not a huge Kid Rock guy, but I mean, I was like, that's fucking badass.
He wasn't just there. He was there the whole time. He didn't just come in, swope out, and leave. He was there, and I was told that I left earlier. I was told he stayed till the party closed. He was there the whole time and interacting with people. Everyone had nothing but positive things to say about Kid Rock. I didn't, again, you know me, I'm not really the big celebrity kind of chaser, so I didn't get a picture with him or anything. I took some photos, obviously, but with him and Carlito, but yeah, he was very, very engaging.
He's the American badass.
So,
come on.
Yeah. So little of the background of this. We do our Florida trip every May. I mean, and last year we didn't do it because the house we rent went for sale, and I wasn't going to bid on it. So we actually did not do it. We skipped last year, so we were planning to go back in May, and then the Carlito thing happened. Long story short, my father-in-law, who lives outside Orlando, turned 90 this year. God bless him. We talked to everyone, and it made a lot of sense for us to move the trip to April. And it was really I'm not going to say the Carlito thing did allow us to do that, but it worked out better for some other family members for us to do this in April. So we were in Orlando for most of the week. I was at a lake, and I just got some R&R there. Did some work for my day job as well, so I don't want to say it was total. But then, Lisa and my son actually came to one of my sons did come to Tampa. He just did his own thing, my son Steven. But Lisa came, my wife, and there are people that can validate my wife's presence there and have met my wife.
Yeah.
The
mysterious Mrs. Cooper.
Yeah, there is a photo of us as well.
You guys look fucking great, by the way. I just want to say that. You guys both look great. Good for you guys. I mean that.
Thank you. No, thank you guys. And look, I'll say this. So we got in Friday night. Trip was also there, and Trip and Jay and I went to dinner at this Cuban restaurant that Jose and I had found when I was there in January. And we invited Jose. He was tied up with something with Fuente, and he was tied up with a lot of stuff. So we had dinner at the Cuban place, and then Saturday we went to Jay came with us to Colombia. Yes, I got into Colombia. I made a reservation. I got in. Go figure.
Finally.
And it was great.
Finally.
By the way, Colombia is everything. It's crap. The only thing we didn't get the paella because we just didn't want to be. It's time consuming. And
right.
We did want to do some other things.
Right.
So Jay came with us there. The salad, by the way, the salad at Colombia, it's the greatest salad I ever had.
What kind of salad?
It's a green lettuce salad, but it's got like things in it like bacon, but the dressing is just to kill for.
Green lettuce salad. That's like saying like I had a cheeseburger with meat on the bun.
Listen to me.
I'm just busting your balls.
Get the side. It was really good, right? So it was excellent. So Jay had to leave, go back to his hotel because he had to go pick up a tux for the thing, right? Mm-hmm. So Lisa and I had walked to Columbia, so we walked down 7th Street again, and we see Abe and Brandy. Yeah. So Abe recognized. I was looking at the chickens and walking around the road, and we sat with Abe and Brandy for a couple hours, until he met my wife, and we all hit it off. Really, we hit it off so well. We're like, hey, let's all go walk over to the party together tonight. It was like, it was really, really a great thing. The party was at this place called the Cuban Club. We were staying at Hotel Haya which I think people may know. It's one of the best hotels in.
That's where we were gonna
Ybor
stay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I should have took your room, Matt, because I had my son with me. I would have gave it. I would have just.
Dude, I would have
taken
given
the
it
bill.
to you.
We didn't. I said that. I said shit. I didn't think of because we couldn't get a room for my. We didn't know if he was gonna come. That was the whole.
Oh yeah, they were
so.
booked. They were booked solid.
They were booked. Yeah. So we had but he was doing his own thing anyway. But so I gotta tell this before we get to the party piece. We're walking back, right, and we smell something. Okay, really good. And I look at Lisa, and I'm like, you smell that? She's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, I haven't smelled pizza like that since the last time we walked through Brooklyn in New York.
Here we go.
We get this pie. We take it back. It is, I'm telling everyone.
Let's talk about food.
You could get me any recommendation for pizza in Tampa. I'm sure it's really good. I'm telling you, this pizza place right across the street from King Corona was so good. I mean, this is authentic New York pizza. Dave Portnoy 8+ for sure. Okay, we love. I mean, believe me, we know pizza in the Cooper house. Okay, we love
know
that pizza. Yeah, we know pizza in the Cooper house. Okay,
We know.
I'm a kid. Okay.
Don't bring it
I'm
up.
telling you, fold. It had the fold and everything, and this pizza was incredible. So we have the pizza. Of course, and then we meet Abe and Brandy. We eat the pizza in the room. The room's cramped, right? Then we meet Abe and Brandy. We walk over, right? So you're gonna love this story. We're walking. Now it's 2 blocks. Now you've been to Ybor City, right?
Yes.
A lot of bricks.
A lot of
I'm
bricks.
telling Lisa, be careful with your
Old school.
shoes because it's old school. Be careful. You don't want to get your shoe caught. Who gets their shoe caught in one of the bricks? Me. Pulls half the sole off, right? And I'm like, damn! Like it pulled. It didn't pull the glue. It pulled the whatever attached that sole was now off, and there was glue holding this. Well, basically, by the time we left the party, my sole had come off the shoe. It's fixed. It was already, the shoemaker fixed it, right? It was just literally I caught it on the brick, unfortunately, and I only wore the shoes like 3 times. So yeah, that happens along the way. We get there. Liana gives me a big hug, and Lisa meets Liana. We go in, and there's three areas. Okay. There's the main area in an outside tent. You could not smoke in the tent for some reason, which was odd. But that's where the food and the stage was, right? And that was in the back. The tent was in the back of the Cuban Club outside. Then there was a smoking lounge, an outdoor smoking lounge, where you could smoke next to the tent.
Sure.
And then there's an indoor place which had screens, so you could see all the screens there with couches. And we get a seat, like, we just parked ourselves there for the night. We really didn't leave there, right? So when Carlito came, and everyone saw Carlito coming in the Elvis suit and the GTO, he came through the back. Okay, so I did go up and take some photos when he came in and when he was on the stage. So I did do that. And Lisa was totally comfortable being in, where she was, like the couch and everything. We had our thing. We were right next to where the cigars are, so that was even good too. And you could smoke in this indoor part of the Cuban Club, which was really, really good. So along the way, Lisa meets Jose, Carlito. She meets Ernesto. She meets Jeremiah Mirafal,
Right.
which was really. So she's meeting a lot of folks. Allison was there. Allison Trainer was there.
Yep.
As well, who's moving to Tampa. So she met Allison. Jeremiah gave us was great with us. Of course Jay was there. So yeah, Tripp was there, but Tripp lives down there, and he had met Carlito, so he was there. But Tripp came solo. His wife is expecting. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Lisa smoked a cigar. Lisa smoked a Don Carlos, and she was a great sport about it. She had a little trouble. She hadn't smoked a cigar probably about 10 years or 8 years maybe. She smoked this. She smoked it, and all the cigars had this secondary band that said Tampa Boy on it.
Yeah.
Which was just kind of Carlito's thing. For Tampa Boy, he's a Tampa boy coming home. So, I smoked Opus 20s the whole night. So, to give you an idea, I smoked
The whole
Opus
night.
20s the whole
Just
night.
kept smoking the
Whole
same
night.
thing.
That's all I smoked was Opus 20. That's all. So it was funny when Carlito was doing his speech in the tent area. We're in this indoor area, right? And I come in, and I'm like, I go to Chirp and Luis. I said, we got to get cigars now. I'm like, why? I said, this thing's about to end, and this rush is going to come in with everyone with wanting to get a cigar, right? Because they only started handing out the cigars only a few minutes beforehand, right? Like, well, no, a few minutes before they opened, Carlito came in. So a lot of people didn't have their cigars. They were all waiting for Carlito. And sure enough, the rush comes in, but we have comfortable seats. Oh, we saw Charlie and Brooks, by the way, too. Charlie and Brooks were there.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
So they were there. Yep, they were there as well. So my wife seemed more interested in meeting Charlie. Charlie was kind of reserved into himself. That's fine.
Don't tell me no.
I felt bad. We were talking with Brooks, and I said, Brooks, I got to get back. I'm going to lose my couch seat. So I was like, because and here's the other thing. I got to just say this. The music wasn't overly loud. I got to give it up to Carlito on this. It wasn't overly loud. They had a band there and everything. Carlito's old band was there. Arturo Sandoval was there. Of course, Kid Rock did a song. It wasn't overly loud. I was really happy with that. You could talk. You could have conversation. It was good.
That's always a plus. I mean, when you go to these events and you see all these people and you're trying to socialize and you're just screaming over music the whole time, it's just like, oh god.
Yeah. No. That's when I here's
such
the
a
thing,
breath
like,
of fresh air. It seems like such a little. Seems like such a little detail, but you're right. It is such a big deal.
Right, and it was enough. The music was still loud enough, where it wasn't but it wasn't honestly, if anyone's planning a party, they should call up whoever planned Carlito's party in Fuente and say, "Here, how do I get the music levels at these levels?" Because it can be done. Is what I'm just going to tell you. But Carlito was so gracious, and he gave us about 5 minutes. He had hundreds of people there. Right, and he gave us 5 minutes, and he was just, he was so gracious to us. He gave me a big hug and everything. But there was some, Carlito likes to drop big news, right? And there was big news dropped, okay? In that, the Newmans have been working to kind of build up this whole Cigar City aspect of it.
Yeah, they get the Cigar Workers Park. They got the They get the hotel across the street that they're renovating and all that. Yeah.
There's an article on Coop where you could see this, but there is a cultural center being. I don't have a word for it. It's Arturo Fuente Center, but it's like a cultural center that Carlito is gonna be breaking ground on. He really felt he wanted to give. He was very, very committed to having this party in Tampa, giving back to the city of Tampa. Because again, it's his hometown. He calls himself Tampa Boy. But this new thing is going to be a whole cultural center. It's going to have a musical theater. It's going to have museums. Of course, it's going to have a Fuente Lounge and Cigar Club.
Oh, is this what the thing he had in the booth with your name on it? Is that what that was about, or is that something else?
No, that's something else. That is something else.
Oh, okay.
That's a product. According to what I heard from Jose, it's a product.
That is a product. Okay.
And Jose has not told me he will not say a word about it.
So Coop, I can't say anything. It's Carlito, he's going to make a big thing about it.
No, it was even less than that. No habla español.
No habla español? I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
No habla español. When Jose does no habla español to me, he can't talk about it, right? The product. He did know about the cultural center. They kept this one under wraps, but they have the artist renditions. This is huge. This is not a little small thing they're building. This is huge. I would say it's in a conceptual phase. So they haven't broke ground on it. And, knowing this, it will probably, I would say, maybe they'll get this whole, if I had to guess, Carlito's 75th will be at this place, if I have to guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's beautiful. There's a picture on Coop of it. You can look at the artist rendition. The picture I literally snapped from the video. They showed a video of it. So I literally snapped the picture from the video, which I did. Yeah. So, and it looks like I actually took it from the outside, but it's an artist rendition of it. I'm excited about it. I think this is what companies in Miami need to start doing this. By the way, That's the next. I really would think that companies in Miami should start doing this. If I was Altadis, I'd absolutely be doing this at them. They're in Fort Lauderdale. I'd absolutely build something like this. It's people want to go to stuff like this.
I agree.
And we've seen Grand Cathedral become a destination, and now this is going to be, and this is going to complement Grand Cathedral. It's not going to replace it. So, but this is something that the Fuentes are building. So, and it makes sense because look, the Newmans are doing it already, right? Fuente is such an integral part of Tampa. It makes all the sense in the world. I don't know the location. Like, I think they said the location, but I couldn't tell you geographically where it is in Tampa.
Yeah, like I wonder if it'll be near like the Newman stuff too, so it's kind of like all together, or are they gonna do it completely
I
separate?
got the impression it was
spread
be
around?
closer to the. I got the impression it would be closer to the Bay area, the Bay, from some of the rendition. So it wouldn't be. I don't think it will interfere with that at all. And what the Newmans are doing are so the Newmans have a tougher job in a lot of ways because there's that I-4, right?
Yes.
That cuts through Ybor City. They're north of I-4 and Ybor City south. But when that highway came in, it cut where the Newmans are off from the rest of Ybor City. It literally kind of divided it. So the Newmans are trying to restore that north end. And look, I went to the park is really nice. Boy, they got a lot of work to do on the hotel. That's what I'll just say.
Yeah.
I saw it. But by the way, if you guys haven't seen that Discovery Channel show on the hotel and the history of it, absolutely watch it. It's great. So they sent out an email on that, and I think it's on their website about where you can watch that Discovery Channel show.
Yes, I remember that now. Yeah, I have to
absolutely
check that out myself.
Matt, must watch. It's not a rehash. So, I said when they did hand roll the Newmans, it wasn't a rehash. This is something, again, that's not a rehash. It really focuses a lot on the history of Tampa. And it puts cigars in a good light, by the way. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa is kind of like the last, like, how do I want to put this? It's kind of like, Tampa is kind of like the promised land, or like the holy city. Kind of like Jerusalem, you know what I mean? Like
it is. I mean, it's certainly
for cigars in the United States.
I'm not gonna take anything away from Little Havana, by the way, which is another epic area people.
Yeah, no, that's you got to give them a lot. Yeah. But Tampa's also got a lot of significance too.
I did notice something.
Yeah.
So I've been to Ybor City 3 times in the last 5 years, but I hadn't been there since they did the KMA 500 show. And it seemed like a lot of the hand roll places shut down after the pandemic. And when I was with KMA, I really didn't walk through Ybor City. So I'm going back 5 years ago, and Bear and I went to Ybor City. It seemed, and I talked to Abe, and Abe noticed it as well. I just said, yeah, there was a lot more of these hand rolled shops. It seemed like they did not survive the pandemic. So that was sad to see that.
It's a shame.
It's a shame, yeah.
It really is because it's such a special pastime, sentiment, whatever you want to call it, and there's not much of it left here.
Yeah, I think it was great. It's like I said, it was sad because I even said to Lisa, I said there are a lot more of these places that we used to be able to go to that just aren't there anymore. I mean, King Corona is still there. There's, Columbia, obviously the restaurant's still there. There were a couple of steakhouses and stuff that used to be around there that were closed as well. Of course, Hotel Hyatt is, jam packed there. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I think that's just kind of where we are at in the world right now. Maybe someday we can bring it back, but yeah, it's dying here, and unfortunately, I think Miami is definitely have a lot more of it still. Like in Little Havana, which I've been to. I've been to a lot of the places down there. And it's nice to see, and it's cool, but yeah, it's a shame. Really is. That's a shame.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, I'm glad that you got to go and see all
I'm sorry.
that too.
I mean, I'm sorry you guys couldn't go. I know you guys were invited and everything.
Sure. Yeah.
You were missed.
Things happen.
It happened, but you got to take care of there's things sometimes that are more important than cigars. What I was just saying. I think you guys had to take care of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, we wish we could have been there, but things happen, things come up, and
yeah.
But glad that all you guys had a great time, and from what I saw, it was jam packed. I mean, you got Kid Rock there, and you got Carlito dressed like Elvis. He told me too. He's like, dude, this make sure you bring the cameras. Like this shit's gonna be popping. I'm like, all right. And he didn't undersell that, man. I mean, he fucking wow.
Oh, he did.
Holy shit.
And, it was done. It wasn't done with an ego either, is what I'll say.
Sure, yeah.
You gotta understand that Carlito's a very gregarious type of guy. Carlito had to make an entrance into this thing. There was no, it just people wanted a great entrance with Carlito. I lost a bet to Abe, by the way, in the time of the grand entrance. So just on the right. Yeah, I did.
Signed bill.
It's a signed bill. But I think I set the over under too high. So that's what that was. But Abe won another fair and square. Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. We had it was like I said, it was really good. Again, the one. Okay, here's what I missed. I missed two people I didn't get to talk to at the party. Cynthia, which I feel horrible, which
Sure.
just couldn't connect.
Yep.
And Les Mann, I found Les Mann was there, and I didn't see Les the whole night.
Yeah, it's funny. He told me he was going, that his son was going, and
He didn't tell me.
I didn't hear anything back from him. I figured usually he would call me and be like, "Oh man, this was so awesome," and I didn't. You're right. I haven't heard from Les Mann.
Well, like I said, and then I said, we were there. I'm like, I was there too. But again, we were hanging out in that room in the front almost the whole time. We only made a walkthrough into the tent area once, because that's when we went to go to cook up with Carlito.
Oh, so Les definitely was there.
Les was there. There's pictures with Les and his kid there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's pictures with Les and his sons there. So Les was there. Jay's saying he spoke to him a few times. Yeah, I don't know how I missed.
Yeah,
but
Jay Davis.
there were a lot of
Jay?
people there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like there was a lot more people there than I thought would be there.
Oh, yeah. Ciro, obviously Ciro. We met Ciro as well. She met Ciro.
Sure. I mean,
So I said the list went up to about 14 people that Lisa now has met. Lito Jr. was there. But Lito Jr. didn't meet. Lito was there too, but they didn't meet my wife.
I knew the Gomez's were going to be there because I talked to Lito Jr. all the time.
Yeah, because again, my wife kind of she was happy staying in that comfortable area where we were. So, and the other part is I really couldn't walk around because the shoe was breaking. Like I said, as the whole night went on. So.
Oh, that's right. You were borderline disabled.
I had no. Yeah, and I only had a pair of sneakers, so I wasn't coming back with a pair of. I could have walked back out the sneakers. I didn't go do that. I wasn't gonna go with tuxedo with sneakers. Then I have to answer questions the whole night on that. So.
People would ask
so
if you're rubber craft.
By midnight, everything turned to a pumpkin. We went home. Went back to the hotel.
I'm surprised you made it that late.
We were too. Like I said, I think a lot of things that went in is the music wasn't overly loud, and like I said, it was where we were. It was very comfortable. There was one point where the smoke got a little heavy when everyone came in, but when everyone went back, a lot of people went back out. They wanted to be by the outside lounge because that's where Carlito and the stage were. So. But you couldn't smoke in the tent, which I thought was weird. Normally it's the other way around. You can't smoke indoors. You can smoke in the tent. This was reversed.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, from what I understand, anytime they have any kind of event or they go to an event, anytime they're involved in an event, whether it's theirs or not, they're the last people there. They keep it going later than it's supposed to go. And they really fucking throw down. I've heard stories. I've seen a couple of things. Man, like the Fuentes know how to party. I mean, they do. Even at like some of their ages. I mean, dude, they got more energy than I do. It's like, damn.
Yeah. So the other thing is, when I went back to the hotel, I could see the Cuban Club. There was a balcony, which I sat out on the balcony. I may or may not have been smoking out there.
I've smoked on the balcony.
Again, I may or may not have been smoking out there.
I did it.
And so I can see people coming out of the party the whole night. So, I got a picture of the GTO. When we went outside and left, I took pictures. When I was taking a picture of the GTO, that's when the sole of the shoe was like completely dismantled. So
you're like, fuck, I'm done.
Yeah. I'm walking back with a sole of my shoe in my hand at that point. Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
You know, it sucks, but
It happens. Yeah.
I feel like it's also not the first time you've had a wardrobe malfunction at a cigar event. Hasn't there been like other issues you've had with stuff?
Not something like that bad. I think the other one was I forgot my cufflinks one year. Was the other one at Pro Cigar.
Didn't you like forget a shirt at Pro Cigar or something like that?
No, I had it was I didn't have the cufflinks for I didn't have French I had a French cuff
Oh,
shirt.
and you couldn't wear it.
I couldn't wear it. I had no cufflinks, so
Mm.
I wasn't gonna walk around with it was just so I ended up wearing a white kind of nice T-shirt. Jose's busting my balls the whole night on that. He's like, well, you could have called. Like, who would? I guarantee. It was like I had to leave for the bus to go to this thing, and at that point, I had no I.
You're in the DR. What are you gonna do? Go to Kohl's?
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't even at the Gran Almonte that year. I was staying out. That's when De Los Reyes had the Debonair house I stayed at. So there was nothing there with that. So
Yeah,
I
you
was
had nothing.
screwed. I had nothing. So
Typical Jose. Just looking for an opportunity to beat up the little guy.
Jose did come to Charlotte. We had dinner.
I
with
saw
Jose
that.
Jose, he was in Charlotte, so we had dinner with him. Thank you to Jose. We had smoked with him as well. So it was great. I normally don't get a chance to do something like that with Jose. I mean, I've had this opportunity like 3 times in a little over a year though. Again, Vegas and then Tampa. I didn't drive him around this time though, so I only drove him back to his hotel that night. So I wasn't. But yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I know. There's been a few times you've been Jose's personal chauffeur.
Yeah, but again, that's 3 times in less than a year. That's more than I've done in 10 years with him. So I don't know how many opportunities, but he was coming in and he was late for dinner. I got to say that he was late for dinner. Oh, we had an emergency come up. It's the Bulgarians or something like that. I don't know. It was
The Bulgarians.
I don't know. That part I'm making. There's something. Yeah.
Jose's a busy guy. All jokes aside, Jose's a busy guy, and he's one of the best at what he does. And I still I'm still in awe over him that at his age, and again, that's not a negative thing, but the fact that at his age, he's still so active and does what he does. And he does it so well, and it's just you got to give it to him. I mean, he is a legend. I mean that. I say that with love. Jose is a walking encyclopedia. I can't tell you how many times I've texted him and be like, hey, I have a question. Like, how does this work actually? And he'll call me and be like, so this is and he'll tell you the whole fucking thing. He won't just be like, oh, they work it out in the factory and it gets done. No, he'll tell you well, back in the day, we used to do this and we used to do that, and then we had this problem, and then he'll tell you, and it's awesome because there's not a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people that know a lot of stuff, but there's not a lot of people quite like Jose that he knows a lot of the obscure stuff too that I think a lot of people either have just forgotten or whatever. Like Jose just really is a wealth of knowledge. They don't just call him the professor just because he's old or something. No, he really does know a lot of stuff that you just wouldn't think he would know. I've been surprised a few times when I've asked him questions I don't know who would know. Maybe Jose, and I ask Jose, he's like, yeah, this is it, and he but also just the fact that outside of that, just how active he still is with his what he does for Fuente and being in touch with so many people all the time and traveling and all this stuff. It's God bless him, really. Just God bless him.
Absolutely. Look, he's not young. He'll tell you he's not a spring chicken, but he has a lot of energy. He puts long days in. He travels. He doesn't travel light. So he has a wealth of knowledge. I mean, Ben came down from Asheville to have dinner with him as well that night. So it was the 3 of us. And we ate some pretty good steaks, I'll tell you that. And we had a big Idaho potato along with that.
Oh, I love potatoes with steak.
By the way, Jose will always uses that slogan, steak and a big Idaho potato. So you had to get steak and a big Idaho. We went to a steakhouse, a really good one. We had to have steak and a big Idaho potato.
I had a baked potato for the first time recently in a long time. I don't know. I just hadn't been making baked potatoes, and then we were at Costco and we got a big old sack of potatoes, and I told Nicole, I'm like, oh yeah, baked potato. had a baked potato recently, and I ate the skin and everything. It was so good. It was butter and everything. It was just like, oh man.
Yeah, baked potato. It was their baked potatoes loaded, of course, so it's really good.
You ever see someone eat a baked potato like with just like butter on it, maybe some salt, like just kind of plain? Like, what are you doing? Like, load it up.
Yeah.
Get it all in.
Oh
there.
yeah.
Like, so good, so good. I love food. Every time we start talking about food, I get excited.
Oh, we ate good, and we ate good, yeah.
You always eat good. I mean, you go to Pro Cigar, and it's all you talk about is saga. You eat like a king. You eat like, King George. Back in the day.
I've actually lost weight in the last year, which is kind of true. I actually went in. I had one thing that was a bad part of this trip is I came back with a finger infection. And I had to go into it's still. I was wearing a splint last week. I went to my doctor and they weighed me like twice. They you lost like 9 pounds. I'm like, yeah. So I have lost some weight, which is good. So
that is good. Keep it up.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was on a dose of antibiotics after that. Yeah, it was a rough one. It was rough. I was actually that night. It was bothering me more driving home than anything. So driving home, I said I got to get to a doctor when I get home. So.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like I said,
it was a burn. It was a burn that and then I kind of picked at it and didn't cover it right, and that's what happened. Yeah.
Got worse. Yeah. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Got to be careful.
Yeah.
And I know you've already had. I won't. But you've had issues before, and so you got to make sure you're all right.
Yeah, you can't fool around with that. Yeah.
Well, the Tampa trip sounds like it was great. I'm glad that you guys all had a great time and you had that great experience. And it's just definitely one not to forget. From what I saw. So that's pretty awesome. Did we have anything else on our list for tonight that we didn't cover that was kind of pretty noteworthy?
No, I think we covered all the noteworthy things this week, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was the aftermath of the staffing changes, which were big. And obviously, I wanted to talk a little about the Fuente experience.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting as we get into the summer season right now. So we'll see what happens with that. I am trying to get up your way, by the way. I haven't told you that yet, but I'm trying to get up to Boston. This will be a side trip, more or less. So, but stay tuned. I don't have any details on that yet.
Well, I'm in New Hampshire, so if you come to Boston, you have to drive a little bit more north up to New Hampshire.
Well, I think when I'm up there, I'm kind of in between Boston and where you are. So right off 93. So I'm usually in that midway. So it's an easy trip for me to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let me know. Come over the house. Smoke in the lounge.
The lounge. Yeah. Absolutely.
It'd be great to see you. It sucks because I only see you a few times a year, and one of those times is the trade show. But even when I see you at the trade show, it's like I give you a handshake, I give you a hug, we chat for like 2 minutes, and then it's like we gotta go because we're both so busy. So it's like I see you, but I don't really see you.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks. It's like a tease.
That was a little. I mean, that's what I was a little down with. I mean, I'm not mad at you or anything. You had it. You made the right call not going because you had things you had to take care of. But it was like, God damn, I was really looking forward to you being down there in Tampa. But there'll be other days for that. So those days are not behind us.
I know.
So, yeah, absolutely.
But it'd be great to spend some more time with you. So.
Yeah.
But no, this was great. But this was a good show, and I think we're gonna wrap up soon. We kind of hit all the points, and I want to try to stay kind of tight on the schedule tonight because, like I said, Coop's got some stuff to do, and he's got a long night. So. I want to respect that. So we're going to wrap up the show here. Before we go, though, just again, don't forget to check out our Cigar Family Charitable Foundation raffle that we are running. The link is in the comments. You can also find it at smokingtobacco.com. We're up to almost $6,000, so don't forget to get your raffle tickets. Donate today. There's a long list of prizes, more being added. I got more that I have to put in there. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Actually, here's another interesting one. I have not put it up yet. I'm going to try to work on that between tonight and tomorrow. Someone has donated none of the cigars. I want to say that first. None of the cigars, just the humidor. but someone has donated a Fuente Padron humidor as a raffle item. None of the cigars are included, but the whole kit of the humidor and all that is been donated by somebody.
So it's the that's still a nice. That's still
Yeah.
a very nice thing.
Yeah. Oh, very
Those are-
special.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
So if you want the chance to at least have the humidor to repurpose and collect, I mean, it's still a collector's item, right? So one of those is also up for grabs. Just so you guys all know, a Fuente Padron is up for
Super
grabs.
easy to. Yeah, Lamp put the link. It's super easy. Go do it. Every little bit counts with this. Yeah. And you never know. You might win that. Yeah.
Yeah, like Coop said, you never know. We've had a lot of people who've donated over the years and have won stuff and been told like, I only bought I only donated like $20 and I didn't think I was gonna get anything, and I walked away with like one of the biggest things. I'm telling you, man, it's a great cause and there's some great stuff. Money goes to a great place, but you never know. You can't win if you don't play. So that's what I always tell people. And I every year I get so many messages like, this and that. Like, they ran for over a month. You had the time. People ask me, can I still get raffle tickets? I'm like, it's over. And they're like, yeah, but can I? And I'm like, it's over. It's all done. People got picked. And sometimes people get mad, but I'm like, it was out there for 38 days. Like, you had your chance. So don't sleep on it. That's why I say it, because everyone always comes to me at the end and I'm like, you had all this time. Don't forget to check that out. And as always, head over to smokingtobacco.com for more news, reviews, and updates from the cigar industry. We'll see you on Wednesday night for the Smoking Tobacco Show, and we'll be back with spare notes in a couple weeks per our usual schedule.
There's no Coop shows this week. I shouldn't say there's Coop shows, but the prime time's not running this week. But Sunday night, Let's Get Pairing is going to have Rob Dietrich on from Black and Whiskey at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then El Oso for more takes 10:30. I believe they're doing a cigar review that night. So
nice.
So I think Ben's coming on for that. I won't be on that one either. But like I said, we will be back with the primetime show schedule the following week. So stay tuned on that.
Absolutely.
And there'll be content on Coop, so don't worry. We have a lot of content coming this week. Reviews, more PCA recaps.
Busy week for you guys, huh? Yeah.
Yep. But no primetime shows. I'll be back on KMA next Saturday.
Nice. Well, guys, take care. Be safe. Keep it lit. And thanks for being here with us tonight. God bless. Take care.